إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وما أمروا إلا ليعبدوا الله مخلصين له الدين حنفاء وما أمروا إلا ليعبدوا الله مخلصين له الدين حنفاء ويقيموا الصلاة ويؤتوا الزكاة وذلك دين القيمة إلا الذين كفروا من أهل الكتاب والمشركين في نار جهنم خالدين فيها أولئك هم شر البرية إن الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات أولئك هم خير البرية جزاؤهم عند ربهم جنات عدن تجري من تحتها الأنهار خالدين فيها أبدا جزاؤهم عند ربهم جنات عدن تجري من تحتها الأنهار خالدين فيها أبدا رضي الله عنهم ورضوا عنه ذلك لمن خشي ربه رضي الله عنهم ورضوا عنه ذلك لمن خشي ربه صدق الله العلي العظيم اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجه بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله جعلنا من المتمسكين بولاية أمير المؤمنين وأولاد معصومين. So tonight we have the gathering for Eid Mubahila in front of all these angels of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because wherever there is a house of Allah, there is angels presently. When we talk about Quran and we read Quran and Zikr Ahlul Bayt, the angels of Allah attend. There was that majlis, and it is, as I always say, is what is in Hadith Kasa. And Jibreel says that when there is majlis for Ahlul Bayt, the angels of Allah would actually hasten to attend that majlis. So if we don't have a lot of people, we'll start the majlis, inshallah they will come, no doubts. And tonight we're celebrating the Eid al-Mubahila. And this ayat is from ayat Surah Bayyinah. It says Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says those people who do zakat and salat, and those people who approach the maqam of ubudiyat for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, those people are the people that Jannat, that heavens have been created for them, and they will be in there. And those people who are kafirin and don't follow the path of Allah, those are the people that go to Jahannam. Now, Eid al-Mubahila is a story maybe, but it's in the Quran, and the sharh of what happened in Eid al-Mubahila is actually in the Quran. And that's were giving hard time to Rasulullah And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, ask them to bring their women and children, and we will do a Mubahila. So, so this actually is interesting because, as you know, in the story, uh, Rasulullah shows up with only Fatima Az-Zahra, which is only one woman and not many women, and nobody else had that, and Imam Hassan and Imam Hussein. So the children are Imam Hassan and Imam Hussein, and this is one of the proofs of the family of Rasulullah at that time, uh, that these stand. So Imam Ali, Rasulullah, and Imam Hassan, Imam Hussein, and Fatima Zahra. And when kuffar, they see that these people are coming, and the nur that is coming from this stand, they refuse to do Mubahila and take the jizya, to pay jizya. So how this fact and so the bayat in the history has been denied to Ahl Bayt is imperative to what's going on now. So it's still at this time, people who take the right path, they're the people who are going to be in Jannat, and the people who go against them are going to be the kuffar, as people who will go to Jahannam. So fortunately and unfortunately, sometimes we devalue the value of the Mubahila and don't compare it to Eid al-Qurban, which Ibrahim alayhi salam was the day that it was started. Ismail and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala postponed that. And Imam Hussein rented this Azar Azim and completed that story. But Eid al-Mubahila is a great Eid for us and for all the Muslimin, especially the Shia, who have the iftikhar and azzat to be in the Shia of Imam Ali alayhi salam, Ahl Bayt. Inshallah, congratulate Imam Zaman in the Mubahila. Today also is another day about the birthday of Maysam Tammar also. I was reading about Maysam and how he was a slave. And Imam Ali alayhi salam gave him the freedom from slavery, and Maysam Tammar not only was very close to Amir al-Mu'mineen, he was very close to Imam Hassan and Imam Hussein, and he was, I didn't know this, but in the story it says that Maysam was selling dates, that's Tammar, and Imam Ali specifically liked him so much that would go to his store, and when he had some chores and errands to go to run it, Imam Ali would sell his dates as the level of that um, level of dedication that he had to Isa. And I predicted him and told him that one day you will be hanged and your tongue will be cut and you will be hanged from a date tree. And the reason they cut his tongue because they could not stop him from telling the truth. And that's why they said cut when he did a discussion with Ibn Ziyad says cut his tongue, they cannot talk no more and hang him from the tree. And it says Imam Ali had predicted this and told me that I would be a shaheed and this would happen to me. So um, inshallah, as I said, again, it's congratulations to Imam Zaman for having, they benefit from people who are that dedicated and are in their path. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. Continue? Okay. I thought you were going to try the schedule. Mohsen is not here. So one of the things that these days we are fighting against and is important is our youth and children and how we can bring them to the markets and to the center. So one of the ways is, in my opinion, I've been thinking about it a long time. Is one of the ways is to plan extra activities, something that they feel this also this center it belongs to them, and that's very difficult in this society, in this country, because there's so many uh, other things that occupies the children. One of them is the phone and the games they put on the phones, and it's not accidental. It's not just they wanted uh, to get them their attentions from the centers. They occupy them with so much game and so much lights and so much music and so much other things that even when they're here, they're kind of like addicted to these things. You cannot separate them. And we need to actually become more friendly to them and be their friends and plan activities, camps, and other things that they would look forward to coming to the center. And um, the Hadith of Mubahila is kind of more extended, and I don't want to steal the thunder from the Sheikh's speech. Sometimes, you say inadvertently some things that actually kills the thunder. So you got to be somehow in between when you start the meeting. Um, I always say that if we go back 20 years, when we were planning this center, nobody knew where we'd be in 20 years. And in a wildest dream, we have done admirable job to making a center and try to bring the majalis and do as much majalis in this, and I'm sure in other towns too. But unfortunately, when you're my age, every other day you get a news that one of your colleagues, one of the friends, one of the brothers, one of the sisters has passed away. We are in that type of generation, and it makes you wonder that, especially I like last night, I got a notification that one of the brothers in Washington D.C. Has died, and the week before that there was another brother who had died. And regardless of the circumstances, and what was the cause of death, you kind of feel bad because your friends, your padres, your brothers, however way you want to look at it, they're moving on to the other world. And you kind of wonder how successful they were in actually doing this khidmah and be in the service of Ahlul Bayt. And so I think that, again, we need to go to version 2.0 and revive the centers. We're bringing more of the youth and have meetings for them and kind of involve them. And a whole generation, in my opinion, in 20 years, have moved on. My son and your sons and other people who were coming here, and now they have moved on to their own life, their own university, their own environment, their own societies. So that's an opportunity that has unfortunately passed. However, we have an opportunity for the future generation because we have close to 30 plus students in our school, on Sunday school when it's in charge. And we need to use that experience and be careful about the next generation. And inshallah, do a better job with the next generation, and inshallah, they will continue. Also, the other things that we have in this center is now it's not a whole crowd, it was just basically us. Opportunity that a lot of people have a new immigration people that they came immigrants that came from Iraq, that came from Pakistan, Afghanistan, and those people are actually the people who are going to benefit the next 20 years. And we have to be adjusting our programs. So unfortunately, each of us, when we design this, we are about 20 minutes, 30 minutes from the center. And that makes it really difficult for people to come on time and benefit from the whole thing. Inshallah, we will do that.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
Please recite Surah Al-Fatiha. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام أشرف المرسلين وخاتم النبيين أكمل مجتبى أبي قاسم محمد مصطفى وعلى الطيبين الطاهرين. قال الله تعالى في مقام كتاب عزيز بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وآمنوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. صلوات. Mubarak Jamia. I can't believe. Did you hear what this person just said to me? Did this person actually just insult me? Many times we hear this statement, or we are the ones saying this statement because someone has, in some form or way, has insulted us. So we look at a society where it's common to be assaulted. We look at ourselves as Muslims and wonder, is this something that is accepted from an Islamic perspective? Is Islam accepted? Do we go around insulting people? Do Islam tells us about, yes, it is highly recommended to insult people? Because when we look at it, we'll think so because we find that Muslims insult each other. We see that non-Muslims insult each other. We see everybody insult one another as though it's something that is good. But from an Islamic perspective, what do it teach us about this? Is it good or bad? Yes. Mamnua. No? So we see that Islam tells us that we should not insult people. That even if a person was to insult us, that we should at least give them some type of kind words. Not to go back and give them something that is worse than what they have gave us. Because we find that a lot of times when someone insults people, we say, oh, they insult us. Oh, I'm going to talk to them in such a way that's going to be harsher than what they have said to us. So now you become the aggressor in the matter. Right? This is not Islamic perspective. Islam tells us not to do this, not for sab. It's not permissible for us to insult. Because if you insult someone, then you have to expect to be insulted back. And it starts a chain reaction. He insults or she insults you, then you want to insult them. Then it goes back. That person will insult you back. Then you want to insult them back. And it keeps on going on and going on. And from an Islamic perspective, this is bad akhlaq if you was to fall into this chain reaction and to continue to insult a person. Right? It's to the point now that even Muslims go and insult other Muslims. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he tells us not to insult a believer. He said that one who insults a believer is on the path of ruin. In paraphrase, on the path of ruin. Because this is something that's not good. We should avoid these type of situations and not speak this way to people. If somebody's talk back to us, we talk kind words. Because we are the ones who's supposed to show the example how things are supposed to be done and how things should be. Because words are sharp. Words cut deeper than swords. Words stay on a person for a long time. Because if you was to insult the person, that person will remember that insult for a long time. But also, if you was to give them good, kind words, they will also remember that, but in a different type of remembrance. One is in a negative remembrance, whereas the other one is a positive remembrance. So we have to wonder which one is better for us. Should we fall into ruin by insulting people? Or should we avoid that? Because as we know that life is short and that we should not accumulate sins or accumulate people disliking us because of our bad akhlaq. We want to bring people towards us because of our akhlaq and that our akhlaq is good. Our behavior is good. And they said, no, when we talk to Ahmed or we talk to Muhammad, he is not the type of person to say any type of bad words or to insult people because his religion tells him that he should not insult. That sob is not permissible for them. But kind words are good. All right. You know, a lot of times we hear that when a person insults another person, their reaction is, oh, I'm not going to stoop to their level. I'm not going to stoop to their level and do what they did to me. Or actuality, if we think about it, this is actually an Islamic concept. We never really even thought about this. Of being able to say, oh, I am not going to stoop to this person's level because I will be just like that person. We hear from a riwayah from Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salam. He said, when two people insulting one another, that means they're going back and forth. The superior one sinks to the level of the inferior one. So someone has to be the one that said, hey, wait a minute, this must end. You don't say, oh, you get assault, here you are. Here's one for you. No. You sink to a level as the one that is inferior to you. Now, how do you consider one who is inferior? Allah knows best. But we all know that the one who goes out and establishes things like more deeds and helping people and do all the good in which was supposed to be brought here to do, this person most likely is a better person. Most likely. So we look at sob, we know that sob is something that we should not do. We should avoid. Another thing in which we look at is almost like sob, but this is something we hear all the time. Latna. How do we see latna? What is latna? Because when you think about latna, a person think about, oh, I'm cursing someone. But all actuality, yes, it's cursing, but you asking Allah to remove the mercy from that person. Is this permissible from an Islamic perspective? Should we go and give latna on things, or should we avoid these type of things? What should we do? How is seen in Islam? We find that it's almost two different situations here. From in general, latna is not a good thing. That we should not go and curse people from an overall perspective. That we shouldn't. Because we find that Rasulullah told Amir al-Mu'mineen, he said that one of the characteristics of a believer is one who is not constantly cursing or giving latna, who is not constantly giving latna. We see this from this riwayah. They said the one who's constantly not giving latna. Now, we have these situations. Let me continue with these situations. Another thing we have to look at, though, is when a person gives a latna, we have to look at when we give a latna to someone, they say that curse goes in between the one who has sent it and the one who is trying to get it. And whoever deserves the curse more will receive it. In other words, say I give latna on somebody, but that person I'm sending it to don't deserve it. I deserve it more than that person. They said that that curse will bounce and go to you instead of that person. But if that curse deserves to go to that person, then it will go to that person. So we're looking at it from different perspectives now. Two different perspectives. Here it is, they're saying that we shouldn't curse. But then on the other hand, from a specific situation, Allah Jalla, He did set out curses to people. He did send latna on people. So they say from an Islamic perspective, there's people in which you can send latna. One of the things is that a person who is an oppressor. They said that you can send Latin upon an oppressor, a tyrant, a disbeliever, a non-believer, or say, for instance, someone like, let's say, that accuse a woman of something when she is righteous. This is one of the things. Because when we give in Latin, we have to look at these type of situations. Because we see that one time Amir Mukmini, Ali alayhi salam, he said, do not curse the people from Syria. So why did he say that? He said, because there are some situations that you shouldn't curse someone or throw a curse because these people may become on the right path. And if you curse these people, maybe it may stop them. Who knows? Allah knows best. So you have to look at it from this situation. But so the people which you curse those who you know that are not going to go to the right path. This is why he said the oppressor, the polytheist, the one who accused righteous women, the liar, all these type of people, because each of these people, the oppressor is going to continue to be the oppressor. The liar is going to continue to be a liar, right? All these people most likely are going to be the same thing and not going to change. They're going to continue in their transgression. So here it is. He said that these people can be cursed. But when it's us, we just throw Latin in the air like you get a Latina, you get a Latina, everybody gets Latina. Not looking at the situations in which we have to look at before we even go through this. Now, don't get me wrong. Some people that we know just, how I said, they would call them like purely evil people, and that they would never change the oppressors and the tyrants and all these people. We hear that different things that Ahlul Bayt curse these type of people. We hear that. We hear that Imam Ali alayhi salam during prayer used to curse certain people through his prayer. We hear that Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salam used to curse certain people in his prayer. We see certain du'as that which Ahlul Bayt had brought down. They curse certain people in these du'as because they know that these people have no return. There's no return for these people. But like I said, we also have to be careful about who we give the Latin to, because we don't want that Latin to bounce off of them and come to us, because we may be more deserving of this Latin than that person in which we have trying to send it upon. So we see there's different things here. We have sab, which we cannot do. Then we have Latin that it said, no, we shouldn't do it, but in certain circumstances, some people deserve to have it. But what about another one? Mubahila. The mutual cursing. We see now it's different things in which we have here. We have sab, latna, mubahila. All these deal with certain type of situations. This is insulting people. One is the cursed people that may deserve it, may not. And here it is a mutual cursing. This mutual cursing is something that is not just done during the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This is something that could be done to today or have been done beforehand. This is nothing new. So we look at the Mubahila, how this incident come about. How did this happen? How did this incident happen? Did it just miraculously happen that the people from Najm, the Christians from Najm just came? Just came? But before we go, we look at this. The people from Najm, they was Christians. So when we look at Christianity and how they see Isa ibn Maryam, it depends on how or who you talk to see how they feel about him. Because if you ask certain people, they have different ideas about who Isa ibn Maryam is. If you say, some people say, oh, who's Isa ibn Maryam? They say, oh, he's Lord. So I mean, he's Lord. He's Lord is that he's considered the supreme being. He's the creator. He's the one that everything in which we have down here, he is the one who created it all. This is how some people say, if you ask amongst the Christians, right? So this is one of the things that people maybe are not probably believe. You ask some other people, you say, who is Isa ibn Maryam? They say, oh, he is the son of God. That means that God had wife, he had children, he had all this. But we know in Quran, when we look at what Allah explains himself, he said, Lem yaled wa lem yulad. He begat him, knows he begotten. All right? So, yeah, this is what he said. He begetteth nor is he begotten. So just break this up. And then the other ones, they said that, oh, he is the Father, he the Son, he the Holy Ghost, he all three in one. He said, well, okay, how can he be all three in one? He's either one or the other. He said, no, it's like the egg. The egg has the yolk, it has the white part of the shell, it makes one, which don't make sense because Allah Jalla, he tells you he's one. So we have to look at the backstory about how the Christians think before we go and understand what happened in Mubahila and how that this situation took place and why they start with the cursing, the mutual cursing. Like all things, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, as a messenger, he is told to go invite the people to the religion. Right? We're told to invite people too. We're told to invite people with kindness to religion of Islam. But now the Rasulullah, he has bigger responsibility because he has to bring people that was from sure darkness into something that is light. So like all people, he sent letters to everyone. One of the people he had sent letters was the people of Najran. Because this was something, it was something weird because during that time, the majority of people that was in Hijaz was idol worshippers. They said that these people was the only people that accepted Islam during that area because they was doing Hijaz and Yemen at the end of both places. So he sent the letters and explained to him that I am the prophet. I am Muhammad ibn Abdullah, prophet of Allah. I invite you to Islam. If you do not accept, then you should pay the jizya. Pay the tax. But what is so important here that we also have to understand that, remember, these people are Christian, right? Allah Jalla spoke about Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam previously. Just like how the time of the Yahudis, when Rasulullah, they used to talk to the people of Medina, they used to say, when the unlettered prophet come, we're going to fight with him against you. The Yahudis knew about Rasulullah. The Christians also knew. So they knew about Rasulullah before he came. And they said that they had discussion about, is this the person in which was talked about in the book? Now, as we see how this Mubahila is coming to place. So they was wondering, is this person? Is this the one that our book has talked about? Because we know that these people knew about the Rasulullah like they knew about their own children. Beforehand, they knew who he looked like, what his characteristics was before he came. So even though they knew this, of course, like always, people do not want to accept something that even though they want to lose. They feel that, oh, if I accept, I'm going to lose something. So how can I do this? So as we look in towards this, and they knew, it was one story which was very interesting too. They said that it was one of the priests, and he was talking to one of the people there as they was going, and they said that he said, yes, this is, I think this guy is the one in which our book talked about. He said that if he is the one, why we don't believe in him? He said, the priest, like, I don't want to give up what I have, basically. He don't want to give up what they have. And this is the problem. When you have power and you know the truth hits you, the power oversees the truth. You feel that if I give up this power, I show myself as some type of weakness, and how will the people look at me? There was more concern on how the people will look at them than realizing that the truth with Islam was the way to go. And basically they said, no, I don't care. I reject what the book says. My book said, I'm just going to go with how I feel. So what happened? We see that these Christians, they decided to go and travel to Medina. He decided to go travel. Rasulullah invited them through words. They decided to go because they wanted to ask Rasulullah some questions. They want to see exactly who this person is that said that he is prophet of Allah. Which is something in which, okay, it's nothing wrong with asking questions because we said that questions are the keys to the treasure. The treasure is the answer, right? Su'al, ask the su'al, you get your jawab, right? You know, if you don't ask the question, you won't get the answer. So they said, we're going to go and ask some questions. So what was so amazing that we know that said if we are common people and we see people that are dignitaries and they address a certain way, for some reason we will address them or we will acknowledge them a certain way. We was like, oh, how are you doing? How's everything? We see because they come with their royal gowns, we'll give them a certain type of respect. This is how we think. But did Rasulullah think that way? Did Rasulullah take them on like how we would take them on if we see people in such nice clothing and dignitary look and all these things? Did Rasulullah give them the same thing like how we did? Remember, Rasulullah, he's prophet of Allah. He's on a different level than us. That don't mean anything to him, but to us, that means something to us. Like, oh man, this guy, he's important. These people are important. Look how they dress. But to Rasulullah, there's nothing. He said no. So they came to Mecca, to Medina, thinking that they could, like, how can I say it, glamour Rasulullah with their nice clothing and all these beautiful things, and Rasulullah did not even acknowledge them. He didn't even acknowledge them. Imagine what goes down. I'm like, oh man, especially if you're a person that you have a high, you consider yourself as someone that's, a very high stature, and you see somebody, they don't acknowledge you, like, oh, what's wrong with this person? I'm this, I'm that. We were feeling insulted. But it's not that the Rasulullah insulted them, because Rasulullah, he has the direct connection between him and Allah through the angel Jibril. So he sees things differently. He does not care about worldly things like how we may care about it. So of course they was baffled. They said, wait a minute, how can we reach him? He did not even acknowledge her. So they said they went to Uthman, and then after Uthman, Abdul Rahman, and then after that, Amir al-Mu'minin Ali alayhi salam, he told them, like, look, you need to take off of this stuff and come to Rasulullah in your religious gown. This is more appropriate to be able to talk to the Prophet of Allah. Right here, Rasulullah showing them that he is not about the worldly like how they are. Because if they was about what the religion, since they know Rasulullah was the Prophet of Allah, they were accepted. But since they care more about the religion, the worldly things, this was boggled to them. They said once they put their regular religious gowns on, the less glamorous Rasulullah, he actually talked. He accepted them. MashaAllah. Now, as is, just imagine this situation. Imagine we sitting there looking at this. We see people, because we see like the Catholic, the priests, they have these nice crosses, like gold crosses and gold this and red shoes. And we're like, oh man. Like, oh, look, this is nice, right? Oh, look at this. Right? To us, we'd be like, I need to talk. Let me shake the hand. The Pope, oh, how you doing, Mr. Pope, right? We want to be around these people. Rasulullah, like, this is nothing. This is worldly things. This is nothing. More important is that Allah. Allah is more important. So when it came to him in that way, he spoke to them. He dealt with them. He was kind to them. So much so that we know how tolerant. This is, what's crazy is that we always hear that Islam is never tolerant from the non-Muslims. But from the Muslims, we say Islam is tolerant. We're very tolerant when it comes down to other religions, especially to coexist with other people. And Rasulullah showed an example of a coexistence of allowing people to enter into the masjid. They said that it was time, they came through maybe the time of Du'a's time, or it was time for the people, their prayer. And they had bells, and it was ringing the bells, and they went inside the masjid and they prayed. And the companions of Rasulullah, they was upset about them going inside the masjid and praying. Rasulullah said, leave them alone. He showed tolerance. Like, look, this is tolerance. Yes, they are, of course, not Muslim, but they are brothers and sisters in what? Humanity, like what Amir al-Mu'minin alayhi salam said. So he showed tolerance by allowing them to pray inside the masjid. He told the companions, leave them alone. Let them be, let them pray. Tolerance. Example of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. So how do we get to Mubahila? This is how we get to it. This is how we get to the mutual cursing. And what's the difference between Lana and Sab? We have to know there's a difference, because some people say, no, I don't see no difference. There's no difference in this. But how do we reach that? So we see that they eventually sat down with Rasulullah to ask him questions. They said that they felt that Rasulullah insulted them Because when he said that, Isa ibn Maryam, he's nothing but a man. Right? He said, oh, but you don't believe in Allah. You believe in the cross. You wear the cross. You do this. You do that. All these things. You don't believe in true Islam. They felt. He said, oh, but he was born without father. He is the son of God. Anybody who was born without father, Allah put the seed inside a virgin woman and made her born. That's his father. It said at that time, the verse of the Quran said the likeness of Isa is that of Adam. Allah be and it is. At that moment, that verse came down to let them know that the likeness, here it is. Prophet Adam alayhi salam was born with neither mother nor father. So why he is not the son of Allah? Why they don't call him the son of Allah? But here it is. Jesus was born just without a father. He's the son of Allah. Allah showing him right then, like, look, what you saying is not correct. Adam's birth is more miraculous than that of Isa ibn Maryam. Right? Yes. It's more miraculous. Imagine you go to somebody and say, oh man, I was born without a father. Oh, okay. Nowadays, if a person say he was born without a father, say, oh man, what happened to your father? He died? You divorced your wife? What happened? You know what happened? He said, oh, I was born without neither mother or father. Oh man, that's amazing. How did that happen? Even to this day, that's considered amazing. So they didn't understand it when that verse came down to them and let them know that Allah, it's easy for Allah to do these type of things, to make something out of nothing. See, with us, how we think is different. See, we have to first think about it and then we implement. Allah, he implements. It's easy for Allah to make something like man out of nothing. But how we think that, look at this. He put a baby inside a woman that never been with a man, and now he's born. This is amazing. But is it? Allah shows us parables and shows us what's better and what's not. He showed us that creation of Adam is far more superior and far more complex than that of Isa ibn Maryam, and why he cannot be the son of God. Then we go on and we see that it was not Rasulullah that actually said, let's do the Mubahila. We find that in the books, they said that actually the Christians said we should do a Mubahila. They said that, they actually said that they said it, let's do it. And this is when the verse came down, you bring yourselves, and I bring ourselves, you bring your woman, you bring your children, we curse those who lie. Rasulullah said, let's do it tomorrow. Let's set it tomorrow. You know, it was very interesting too. They said that one of the things in which the Christians said that was amazing about this Mubahila, that one of them, they said that if he brings people, companions, then we do the Mubahila. But if he brings his family, we should not do it. Now look at this example here. The same example, we see that with Imam Hussein alayhi salam too, if we look at it. Right? We look at this. Same example. His father, his grandfather, he bring his family. Imam Hussein, he bring his family. It is more like, say for instance, I'm a politician, right? And I said, we should go to war, we should go to war, we should go to war, but none of my children are fighting in the war. How would you see things? But if I said, let's go to war, let's go to war, let's go to war, and I'm fighting and my children are fighting, everybody's fighting, you will find this person to be much more, have more strength about things than the person that just said, oh, let's go to war and don't even sacrifice his or her own family. His contentment is not true. So we see that when they saw that, when Rasulullah brought his family members, that his contentment was true, and they knew that because of this, that it would be a heavy torment, they backed away from this. Now, mind you, this is the 10th year of Hijrah. A lot of things happen within those years. This 10th year of Hijrah is like, what, 20 years, 23 years maybe of Islam. Rasulullah has many companions. Many people which he could have brought. But he brought for the women, he brought Fatima to Az-Zahra. For himself, he brought Amir al-Mu'minin alayhi salam, and for his sons, he brought Imam Hassan and Imam Hussein alayhi salam. To show the importance of the Ahlul Bayt. So much so that you find in Riwayah, they said that Aisha, the prophet's wife, they say, and after I forget which book of the Sahih Sitta, they were saying that before they had went out, this is when the hadith or the cloak had went on. This is when Rasulullah prayed to Allah to purify Ahl Bayt, and that's when the purifier came, and then right after, that's when he went out to do Mubahila. This is from the Sunni perspective, what they said. And you find in another story that said that in that morning, they saw Rasulullah, he took the hand of Amir al-Mu'mineen, they put hands together, and he was starting to do the Mubahila, and the Christians, they got nervous, and they backed out. They wanted to do the Mubahila outside of Medina, because they know that the wrath was so strong that if it was to come down, it would affect everyone. But since Rasulullah brought his family to do this mutual cursing, these people, they realized that this is something that is real and we should stay away. And what they did, they decided to pay jizya. But what's so important about this, they said that eventually some of those people from Najm came back to Medina and accepted Islam. They came back and accepted Islam. Because remember, Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam, he had big followers in Yemen. They loved him. I remember one time there was a Yemeni Sunni, I think it was Zaidi. It might have been Zaidi, but he said he was Sunni. And he was reciting this beautiful poetry about Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam. Because remember, in Yemen, no one was able to succeed for the people to come over except Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam. Because Rasulullah sent Khalid ibn Walid, nothing. He sent him, nothing. But when he sent Amir al-Mu'mineen, he told him, look, you need to accept Islam. They converted without any fight. So they have a strong tie with Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam there in Yemen nowadays. We see that. So those people came back and they accepted Islam. So we see that this Mubahila, this mutual cursing, is something that when two people decide to curse one another to see who is more right than the other. This is different than Latna. Because Latna is when you going towards that person and say that person is bad and that person deserves this cursing. He or she didn't deserve it. But here it is, we say, no, you deserve it. I said, no, you deserve it. No, you deserve it. And we do Latna, and whoever deserves it will get this curse. This is something that right here is permissible. This is mubah, this is permissible to do. So we see the example of the differences in which we have of these things. And that because of this incident, we see how things are shaped and how we look at the dialogue in which we must have with other people of other religions, that we have to be able to talk to them in a sensible way and not to insult them and not to curse them unless they themselves want to do a mutual cursing. But they're not doing mutual cursing nowadays, right? No. We have to look at things from these type of perspectives and how Rasulullah dealt with these people, because eventually, like I said, they accepted the Islam. They became Muslim. They came over to the truth, the haqq. They left everything because all actuality, the way Islam is constructed, how Allah had told the other books and the other prophets of Rasulullah that anybody who is following those religions is supposed to leave those religions and come to Islam, because Islam is a complete religion. We find that also to this day that a lot of people that follow Isa ibn Maryam that as law, they finally come over and say, no, Islam is the truth. It makes more sense to me. I understand now religion. I also have time. I don't know if I went over my time. Say so. I had 25 minutes. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I went over my time. Salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. So when we look at the Mubahila in the incident of this and how important it is to us to this day, how important that it is for us today, that how much was revealed on that day, how Allah explained to us the likeness of Isa and likeness of Adam alayhi salam, and how that one is more greater than the other. We see that this type of thing is, how can I say, it molds our mind onto true monotheism And that's what happened with Mubahila. It molded the people around to true monotheism. What is true monotheism? To know that Allah is one, know that Allah has no sons, know that Allah is not married, that what Allah does, He does it because out of nothing, His miracles are far beyond our grasps, far greater than what we put on and what we think is great. No, Allah said, no, this is much greater. And He shows us, because the only way we can know who Allah is and what Allah isn't is through how Allah tells us how He is and how He isn't. And we see through that how Rasulullah was being guided through the revelations as he was speaking to these people to show them who Allah is and what Allah isn't. And this is the Mubahila. This is what happened in Mubahila. Oh, my time. Said told me I have to cut my time earlier. So may Allah help us all. May Allah help us all in understanding Islam and holding on to this faith, not only now, but until the last moment of our life, and keep true monotheism in our hearts. May Allah help us all. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Wal as innal insana lafi khusr illa alladhina amanu wa aminu salihati wa tawasaw bil haqqi wa tawasaw bis sabr. Wa da'wana walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Wa sallallahu Muhammadin wa alihi tahirin.